From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. In today's podcast, I have my monthly co-host, Mr. Ryan Waterbury, with me, and we're going to discuss pivoting your marketing for your business. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. This podcast is sponsored by Stunning Digital Marketing, the agency that can help protect your WordPress website today. Go to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and see what we can do to help you protect your business investment. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Hey everybody, Rob here again. And today I'm here with my monthly co-host, Mr. Ryan Waterbury. How are you today, Ryan?
I'm doing pretty good. We're finally above 0 degrees Fahrenheit for the first time in 5 days.
Can I send you some more deep freeze Canadian air to visit you?
No, you can keep your warm Florida, Canada air.
Yeah, well, we don't have the snow. I don't know if at the time of this recording, if you've seen Vancouver, but they have been buried in snow. And I have a couple of friends out there. My response today was keep it because we don't want it here. So there you go.
We're so far into the season now. I don't know if I really wanted to use there.
I'm sure not. We've had a little bit, but nothing awful. So, it's funny. You and I have been talking this week, and we've kind of outlined a couple shows, and we've got some good topics coming up. And today, we wanted to dive in kind of pivoting and changing in your marketing because you're doing a bit of a pivot right now. You want to talk about that a little bit?
What I'm rethinking about my marketing is seeing some of the success that I've had with client marketing. Mm-hmm. And after it was a year of doing no PPC marketing for any clients. And I'd just done really development and design focused projects and a couple of SEO retainers. And I had a few clients come in, new niches for me. And they said, hey, we need to do some PPC marketing. Can you help out with that? And I said, yeah, you're very local. And it fits in with doing a lot of the local stuff I had done with in relation to restaurants in pre-2020 days. But, we saw the dip in PPC marketing after the 2016 election, particularly in the US. A lot of people got privacy focused. They said, hey, why are you collecting all this data?
Yeah, they did.
And the pixel tracking that we were doing, where Meta and Google knew everything about you, got tougher. There was less information that we could use to retarget, and Apple, in particular, leading the way when they, stopped tracking with emails. Safari became one of the most privacy-focused browsers, and now we have Brave and other browsers where I saw better results coming through organic channels. So I had shifted and recommended to my clients that we move their PPC budget to SEO because we were seeing more growth there, and it was successful for a while. But now that we've seen changes in the industry again with AI and garbage content and search, we're seeing search as less reliable. I started looking back at PPC marketing, and I thought about this for myself, where PPC is where you want that immediate shot in the arm, that if your targeting is on point, you get results immediately when you start increasing your ad spend.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
And I think that's the key, right? If you want quick results, PPC, pay per click, for those who don't know, is the way to go. If you don't mind a long strategy, probably SEO is a better way to go, because we know anybody in the business, SEO changes take 4 to 6 months, give or take. And the other thing I would be looking at, and it's worth throwing out there while we're talking about this, is local strategy. So everybody talks about Google business profiles, the old Google My Business, but
Mhm.
don't discount Bing local business profiles either. As far as I'm concerned, you should have your
Mhm.
website up on both platforms. And that's
Yeah.
really
And
important, to be honest with you.
and before they kind of killed it, you could manage multiple profiles from a master Google business profile. I still do. And every one that I managed through there, when I log in to do my Bing
Yep.
business profile, it imports all the changes that we make from the Google business profile. It's
I
super
actually have
easy.
I have mine set up to sync on a weekly basis, so I don't have
Mhm.
to. My Bing profile, I don't have to touch. It's all done
Right.
by my Google profile. And I think, truthfully, if you're not doing both, you're leaving money on the table, because they matter for search.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, I had talked about AI briefly, with that. That's actually given Bing a huge boost with, the fact that they were the first, search engine to roll it in to their search modeling, that a lot of people started using it more
Yep.
and finding more reliable results. And there's a trust factor with Google that people don't necessarily trust the results, that
Yep.
you're using alternative search engines, and DuckDuckGo, is tied in with Bing with some of their
Mhm.
advertising, and so yeah, you have to be everywhere and maximize that as much as possible. But
Yep.
um, this month in particular, I threw out my newsletter. I said, "Hey, I'm going to start doing some more marketing for my own agency." And I always like to use my agency as a case study when I would talk about marketing for small business and,
Mhm.
from my old blog post. But now I'm taking some of the things, the good things that we've done for clients, and applying them back into scale back my business. Pre
Yep.
2020, I was growing, and now I'm starting to see that growth again and want to get back to those levels. So, how I did it was vocal SEO, optimizing my Google business profile, PPC marketing, both on Meta and on Google, and then of course email marketing,
Yep.
and keeping a consistent newsletter, and then also having just some simple drip campaigns rebuilt and refocused for some of the new service offerings, and to retailoring them to help people find things online today.
Yep.
So that's a focus of my newsletter that I'm going to be talking about how to put together. It's basically a how-to on how to put together a business marketing plan for a
Mhm.
small business.
And Ryan, what URL for your newsletter? I've been on it so long, I can't remember. And I think now you can laugh, but I think people that don't subscribe to your newsletter need to get it,
Yeah.
because you
Uh,
put out some great tips. What's that URL again, buddy?
onedog.solutions/newsletter, and that'll take
Yeah.
you right to the sign up page. That's all that's on there, quick and easy. And once you're on, I don't spam, and I don't like the guys that send every day or even every week. I send
Yeah.
out my newsletter every other week, and it's packed with 3 top level action items and
Mhm.
a little bit about what I'm doing or what I'm seeing that's working in the industry.
Yeah, I tend to do a little more than you on the newsletter side. You know
Mhm.
that. This week I've had a couple little extras, because at the time of this record, I'm in another book, which is great marketing. Ross Brand's 100 live stream and digital marketing tips for 2024. So, thank you to Ross for asking me to be involved in a great project. That one's been fun. So he's gone to 100 digital experts. So that's a good form of marketing. I always like when other creators come to me and say, "Can you be a contributor?" Which is cool. So I've done a little more this week, but generally as a rule, I do 1 or 2 a week. And I try not to make it all about me. I mean, there might be the odd special offer, there might be the odd price increase reminder, but really I like to just, like you, I like to help people succeed. And that's the more important thing with email marketing, right? So,
Oh, exactly. Honestly, for me, when I started doing the newsletter, it got me in front of my clients
mhm.
more often.
Yeah.
And at the outset, and even now, when I've had new people sign up, it's I have at least one person reach out that either thanks me for a tip, that they said, "Hey,
Mhm.
thanks for the reminder. I need to take care of that," or they, come in with another inquiry that they want a little more
Yeah.
explanation. And so email marketing is nice where you're not blocked. You have a one-to-one relationship with your customer, and it's not about discovery. Finding that ad in the right placement on Facebook, or you know having the right search query to come to your article or your PPC ad on Google. It's a nice way to have a conversation and continue a relationship with your client base.
Yeah.
And for me, it's been one of the most helpful and um, provided one of the biggest returns on investment of any of the channels. And
Mhm.
at a certain point, it's just time. And I've gotten it down to about 2 hours of my time every other week. I sit down and I write, edit, do my photo editing, and research the topics a little bit that I'm going to write about. And it wasn't always like that. I can tell you some of the first newsletters that I put out were 8-hour endeavors,
Of course.
figuring out the right format, and you know you're coming up to podcast 400, and
Yeah.
that you can imagine, when you started out, how different it was than what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And that's that's one of the things that I want to touch on and remind people that when you start your marketing process, it can be painful,
Yeah.
and you 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 have to be ready to accept a lot of failure before you start finding success.
It's a learning. It's
Uh,
a learning process. And what I would say to you is, for me, we talk about curating newsletters. One of the things I do very well is, I don't know about you, but I read a lot of stuff on my iPad or on my Android phone. Yes, I live in a mixed environment, which causes
mhm,
all kinds of issues. Oh, joy. And
mhm,
one of the things I do is I use a service called Pocket. And what I do is Pocket's really easy. I just click on the share button and I'll be reading an article and say, geez, I should file this for later, or I should file this for the newsletter. And I just save it and I tag it. And then when I go to
mhm.
curate a couple of tips in my newsletter, I've already got a basis of articles there that I can curate the tips. So I do. So my newsletter time, believe it or not, to write the newsletter is down to about 30 minutes because I've saved all the stuff as I go.
Yeah,
And that
and
and
I
that's really key.
Yep, exactly. And I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
a ClickUp board of just my newsletter ideas, and I have it. I have. It's the reason I put the mobile app back on my phone. It was terrible for a while, but you know what?
Yeah.
It was a having that collecting place to put
Mhm.
ideas down, and now we're getting into Todd Jones copywriting, idea territory. But that for me, I do doing that and finding good tips throughout the week that come across my desk cuts down the time considerably.
Yeah, it does.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, and being able to curate that and weed the junk out from the useful information for clients, and to be able to help them and guide them, that's what I want my newsletter to be, and that's what it's there for.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's my target focus.
It's funny when we talk about our own marketing. It used to be back in the day, 10 years ago, everybody blogged. And then
Mhm.
I made, as you know, I made the decision. We've been colleagues and friends for a long time now. About 3.5 years ago, I said, I don't want to blog anymore. I started this thing called a podcast, which you alluded to. And, we're doing one here, and 400 is bearing down by the end of February. And, and it's interesting because my internal marketing channels have gone to podcasting, SEO, the newsletter, and interestingly enough, my personal website more than anything else. And appearing on other podcasts and stuff like this. And at the time of this record, where am I Monday? I'm back on This Week in WordPress, the prominent WordPress news show. And I try to do that about every 5 or 6 weeks just to keep, my name out there, the PR out there. And the host is Mr. Nathan Wrigley, is a wonderful, likable guy. So that doesn't hurt. But, but the point I'm making is choose the avenues that work for you and maximize those avenues. The other thing that works well for me, believe it or not, is LinkedIn. Like I am so well known running a big group on LinkedIn. If I can sort out all the spam texts I get every day, I'm good. Right? I know.
So for me, using LinkedIn is painful. I log in, and immediately after I've logged out, and if it's at the end of the day, I will wake up and check my email, and there are 5 message reminders. Hey, can I help you with your marketing? I'm like, you do realize I'm a marketing agency and I do this for clients. So I don't need help. And so that's been a huge turnoff on that platform for me. I know a lot of other people are successful on there and find that to be one of their platforms of choice. And that's, I was getting to that same spot where you said, find the spot that works for you, because LinkedIn doesn't work for me. And, other platforms do. Facebook has been still pretty good for me from a paid and organic marketing platform for leads.
My love-hate relationship with Facebook, don't you?
Exactly. And
I know.
So that's the thing when you're on your marketing journey, where you had the failures on Facebook. I've had them on LinkedIn, and they didn't work for us. So we're putting our efforts into platforms and activities that we found success and that are useful and enjoyable for us, that provide a good return.
That convert to your customers, and that where your followers are. So we were talking, excuse me, earlier today, and I said to you, and we know you've shifted into PPC, and I'm looking at PPC again. And we talked about, interesting, I had a conversation with Zoe up at Reddit this week, really interesting conversation. And I'm looking at Reddit for a client right now. And one reason I'm looking at Reddit is Reddit does really well between the 20 to 35 category in terms of age, male and female. And guess where my clients' demographics are? Between 20 and 35, right?
Exactly. And I looked at Pinterest. I had a really great rep that had a good pitch that came across, and I looked at it, and I looked at their research and their demographics on where it was hitting, and it just didn't fit for any of my clients at that time. But again, I'm finding some success on Google and Facebook with a client. But one of the biggest successes we've had is with local Google business profile optimization. And I took a step back, and that reminded me today with our conversation that they benefit from a lot of people that start DIY and don't want to do their projects. And Pinterest is one of the best search engines and curation platforms for DIYers. So you have to understand, your client's demographic, or yours if you're doing your own marketing, and you have to be on the places that your clients are. So
there's no question. And it's interesting. I've got still quite a few clients in the political space. Reddit does not allow political ads outside of the US at all. So that ends that avenue. But these are things you wouldn't know if you didn't have the conversations, right? And that was something, truthfully, I was not aware of.
Yeah, and the when politics was a niche that I had served for a long time, and it's to me, it's the I got into it to help people and help some of my colleagues and connections, and I always felt so dirty when you
Yep.
started doing the marketing and doing some of the things, and so that's a niche I've had to walk away from personally, uh,
Mm.
because it just it didn't sit right with me. But again, that's part of my journey on
Yep.
and in my business on who I'm serving and what my client base is. So that's another part of it, finding who your optimal client base is, and
Yep.
sometimes marketing. And when you look at the data, when you get down to it, you'll find that sometimes your base of users isn't necessarily who you thought they were.
Mhm.
So that's another tool to use to improve your service and improve your products
Yep.
is through the analytics when you get down to looking at who's buying your products from your
Yeah.
marketing efforts.
Yeah. I think we also got to remember marketing is a marathon, not a sprint. So I'll give you an example of that.
Mhm.
Last year, I had a client come to me the last week in November saying, I need marketing for a book done. That was an independent published book for the Christmas holidays. And the first thing I said to them, if we start now, you're looking at turning this in February and March, not in December.
Mhm.
And they looked
Yep.
at me and said, oh, you can make a post go viral. And I'm like, guys, viral doesn't happen I know, very often. And if you know how to do it, why are you talking to me? And I said, we can start
uh,
now, the first week of December, but I guarantee you won't have results until late January, February at the earliest. Because
I
especially in
yeah.
books, there's a reason why big publishers all launch their books for Christmas in August and September. That's the ramp up
Mhm.
for the Christmas season. We all know that.
Right.
So what happens? This client does 5 weeks of marketing and then writes me an email the first week of January and says, you're not really any good. I'm canceling our contract. And I'll be quite frank, I had a clause in the contract that said I needed 4 weeks notice to cancel. And I just looked at it and said, okay, goodbye. And then I sent him back a reply and said, do you not remember this email I sent you back at the end of November that said the end of January, early February? Oh, well, our friends tell us otherwise. And I'm like, okay, then go talk to the experts because I know nothing, and
I Yeah. It's kind of interesting when you get to that.
yep, yep.
SEO clients are ones that uh, I used to have a 3 month minimum on
Mhm.
my contracts, and then I just said, you know what, I'm gonna do month to month and on some of these, and the uh, the last one of the last clients I worked with on a regular retainer, and we still do ad hoc work, and we're seeing things. We did 2 solid months of
Yep.
really good work and revamp her site. And then she said, I'm not seeing any clients walk in. And she was getting more calls and things were, starting to turn around from a pretty disastrous place. It was in month 3 at the start of it, about 2 or 3 weeks after that, I watched the rankings, that stuff slowly started coming up and rising from the work that we had put in those first 2 months.
Yep.
And it depends on the industry, it depends on the client. You can send them leads, you can work with them, but this gets back to one of our earlier episodes, client education. And in marketing, it doesn't matter what channel it is, you need to educate your client that sure, you can get lucky once in a while and turn results quickly, especially with PPC, but don't count on it. The last, we're running a successful campaign for a client right now on Facebook, and things are looking great. Client is happy. They're getting more leads than they've had in their off season. But to find a winner in our testing on Facebook, we used to see this in 7 to 10 days. Well, Facebook picked one out at 28 days. And the client
Yeah.
was kind of astonished. I said, well, sometimes it takes that long. And at this point, here's where we start doing a lot more testing and a lot more variations to increase more.
Yeah.
And that's when I think the light bulb went on that we have to look at this as a marathon, not a 5K or 100-yard dash even.
Oh, I agree with you.
And
And we also got to look at this with a marathon with budget. So clients are unrealistic, I think, until they're educated about what it costs to do pay-per-click ads,
Mhm.
what it costs. By the way, a website is part of your marketing venue. It is not an IT project. We need to get that straight. What it costs to keep your website up to date, what it costs to do social. Oh, well, I have an employee that will do it, a part-timer. And I'm all, okay, and what's your part-timer worth per hour times X number of hours? Like, that's a cost, whether
Mhm.
you have them on staff or not. And we got to start deriving this marketing budget so we can actually help people, because when you stand there and say to clients, to do social media marketing is going to cost you, $500 a week, they look at you and say, are you crazy? Well, there's time and effort involved, and they got to be realistic too.
Exactly. And when I tell clients, when I've done some proposals and they said, oh, okay, so this is it. And I said, no, we need to decide on the budget on the platforms that we're going to work on. You mean
Yep.
that's not included? I said, no, absolutely not. Well, why is it so expensive? And I said, I invite you to do this on your own and then add up all the money that you spent on the platform before you find a winning solution, or when you don't, more likely, and come back and give me that number and see if it's lower than what I'm proposing right now.
Yep.
And I actually had one client that came back after trying to market, and they said, I'm not getting any sales. I've spent thousands of dollars and I can't figure it out. And I said, okay, are you ready to start a campaign and do it? I didn't want to say the right way. I said, do it in a more professional manner. And they said, yes.
Yep.
And
That's
we're
good
seeing,
wording.
Mhm. And that's the thing that a lot of clients don't take into account. We've been
Mhm.
doing this for years, and do you know how many failures that we've had in our own
Oh,
marketing?
just a few. And what I'll tell you is, every time a client says, do it this way, I'm at the point now where the first month I throw up my hands and say, okay, if you want to spend your money, go ahead.
Mhm.
Because the
Sure.
way I work is, I'm never billed for the client's ad spend. That goes directly to the client's credit card, not mine. So
Mhm.
if they want to
Exactly.
blow their credit card budget, feel free. And then they look at me and say, why didn't this work? And I said, you told me how you wanted it done. You didn't want to listen to advice, so I did it your way. Now, do we want to talk?
Yeah. And I've had some of those conversations again, and it's because I'm working with more new clients that haven't done PPC marketing before. That it's been education at
Yep.
all different steps of. I had a client that was angry on how ads were displayed on mobile, and I had to take a step back and I said, they they don't know that this is how we convert things. They
Yep.
wanted header and footer navigation, and they wanted them to explore the site. And I said, if they're exploring the site, then they're not hitting the get quote button, and they're more likely to leave than they are to do that single action that's on the landing page. And uh, hands down, I will throw out a free piece of advice right now. The worst thing you can do is give people choices when you send them to from an ad to another page.
Do not
And
give
one
them
of the
any choices.
so
And actually,
yep,
on that landing page, you should strip out all your navigation. You should
mhm,
strip out all your header. You should strip out all your
mhm,
footer. I'm
yeah,
serious, and just
yeah,
let them go to that page with a one button action. I
yeah,
100% agree with you.
yep. And I've done studies. I shared a case study that I had done where I let the customer do that exactly. They wanted the change, and I said, okay, we're going to run a split test,
Yep.
and we're going to see which converts more. It wasn't even 3 days later. We had 50 conversions on the page with no navigation and one on the one with navigation.
Yep. Yep.
It
And then
it, it didn't.
and while we're
Yeah.
tossing marketing tips out there, my big tip of the day is when you sign up for a newsletter, your thank you page should not be thank you for signing up for my newsletter. My thank you page reads, here's 3 types of good content. One is my blog, one is my podcast, and the third one is my web security care plan link to get you on a care plan. Right on my thank you
Hmm.
page. And
Oh,
it says while you're waiting for your newsletter in your inbox, check these out right away. Like the
oh,
thank you page is the most misused page on an entire website.
absolutely. And this is part of why I'm revamping, because
Yep.
my service offers have changed,
Yep.
and why I'm also dipping heavier into email marketing. It's for me, it's that follow-up email immediately that either gives them the previous newsletter as a sample and an introduction email that says, hey, here's our previous newsletter so you can see what you're getting in for, or a welcome email that says, hey, thanks for signing up and confirming your subscription. That's another upsell point. And if you're not utilizing all those avenues, and you need to do it in a professional and tasteful and relevant manner. If it's
Mhm.
relevant, then your clients won't see it as obnoxious or pushy.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
uh that's the other part that we have to address at some point, is that if your offer is relevant and genuine to your client, it will never be seen as salesy or pushy at all.
Yep. I'm about to offer, as you know, I've raised my rates, and we'll be addressing that in a future podcast. We've talked about
Hmm.
that. I'm about to put out an offer out there that will take the 25% off with a coupon code. But here's the deal. You have to sign up for the newsletter to get the coupon code. So,
Hmm.
there is ways to market and get people on a mailing list or a newsletter without being pushy, and give them something and say, come here. At PodCamp next month, I am going to release my slide deck at PodCamp from my presentation after PodCamp. But guess what? To get slide deck, you've got to sign up for the newsletter, because
Hmm.
there is a cost to doing something, and that's a relevant offer. Those who are interested in that will sign up right away.
Right. And a lot of people will say, oh, I hate signing up for blah blah blah. But you know what? 9 out of 10, if they're signing up for that type of knowledge, they're going to find relevance in your newsletter.
Yep.
And it'll be that small percentage, 1 or 2 out of the 10, that will unsubscribe because they just wanted the free piece of info. And most
Mhm.
people will stay on, and they will, if your content is relevant and useful. And this is another SEO tip: don't jam keywords. Just do relevant and useful marketing to your content for your clients, and everything else will come naturally.
One
Um,
one hundred
so
percent.
yeah, so that's what. So I'm taking a whole organic look at my site, my funnels for my lead for my lead gen, from whether I'm going to do lead magnets, little PDF manuals, and just look at it. And I'm going to take the data over the past 5 years, see what worked, what didn't, and realign them with what services that I'm enjoying doing right now.
Yeah,
And so,
I'm doing the same thing. It's funny because I'm now at the point of, on my site, I let people book right in. So if they want a strategy call. Well, the way I'm rejigging my funnels is you get the link to book the strategy call in an email.
yeah, exactly.
I'm forcing people into the newsletter and then using automation. So much so, I'm looking at a service called Make right now. I think you're aware of
Oh
Make.
yeah,
It's a Zapier equivalent.
Integromat make.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I'm looking at automating some of the stuff going on in the back end between all the stuff, and it's making a difference. I'll tell you.
I
Go ahead.
It makes a huge difference, and I that's another part of my journey that I'm going to hit on Monday's newsletter on why I made the change to some of the Fluent products, and one that I picked up recently
Yeah.
just because the integration is so much better is Fluent Booking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tightly integrated with Fluent CRM, my email marketing application.
Yep.
But at the end of my quick funnels, I offer a free strategy call,
Yep.
and that's that's imperative that you have those things in your funnels,
Yep.
ways to get people onboarded.
Speaking of free strategy calls, you do have an offer coming up. What was it? We were talking before the show. So did you want to share that here?
Yeah. So I know you had talked about it, and I had been thinking about the same thing,
Good.
and you really put down some specifics, and mine are almost identical in that from Monday until the middle of February, I'm going to offer an hour free strategy, my consulting time, Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. I will have a 1 hour slot open to talk about anything that you want to talk about during that hour to help you with your marketing, your content, any problems that you're having, WordPress or otherwise, that are related to your business. But that is a valuable piece of time that I can offer my expertise and my experience over the past 10, 15 years of marketing successes and failures.
Yep. And it goes to February 14th. Show a little love to Ryan and Valentine's Day and all of that, and a love to your business. And take Mr.
That
Ryan up
that
on that.
that's the tagline. Show a little love.
Yeah, Ryan, as always, I think people enjoy this. It's a good way to kind of look at their marketing. How's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can find me on every major social media network except TikTok and Threads because they mine too much data at One Dog Solutions.
Yeah.
You can email me at ryan.waterbury@onedog.solutions or my website where you can sign up for my newsletter, onedog.solutions.
And make sure you ask Ryan in passing how those two office managers of his are doing, because I think they're sleeping right now for some reason.
Oh no, Shooter, the
This
intern who's
show is
always on the
brought
verge
to
of
you by
never getting hired and possibly fired, just roams
StunningDigitalMarketing.com,
into the microphone.
your Toronto leader in
Ryan,
thanks so much. Have a wonderful day, my friend.
services.
Talk soon. Not only do
Sounds
we
great. You too.
protect your WordPress website, we can help you with your site, provide social media management for your business, or even do one-on-one consulting. To find out more, go to StunningDigitalMarketing.com. A very special thank you to Ryan Waterbury for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. Hey everybody, Rob here again. Thanks for listening to the SDM Show. It's such a pleasure to have you every week. If you want more on our agency website, go to StunningDigitalMarketing.com. We are your WordPress security experts. We'd be glad to help you out. If you want to learn more about me, Rob Cairns, go to meetrobcairns.online. From there, you can find links to everything I do on the web, as well as book time with me. So feel free. If you want to make comments about this podcast or know a guest possibly suitable for the podcast, please email us at podcast@stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Or conversely, you can go to X, formerly known as Twitter, and tweet at me at Rob Cairns. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much, and I love you. Please join us next week for another interesting podcast, and have a great week, everybody. Bye for now.